in. Come in, my child. We mustn't lurk in doorways. It's rude. One might question your upbringing.
Won't you tell us all about it?
Start at the beginning.
Yeah, yeah. And when you come to the end, stop.
Oh, bother.
Okay, fine. I'm cool. I'm fine.
Idiots! Imbeciles!
I'm surrounded by idiots.
All right, that's it. Dishonor. Dishonor on your whole family. Make a note of this. Dishonor on you. Dishonor on your cow.
Who hired this crew? This is undoubtedly the seediest bunch of cutthroats, villains, and scoundrels I have ever seen, so who hired them?
Hello. Disney is in turmoil right now. We've got this infighting with the board. We've got investors, coming after them because they're losing money with these projects. Marvel is seeing diminishing returns. Disney's not going out of business anytime soon, but they are hurting financially. People turning away from the parks. I mean, the parks are still like their main moneymaker, but they're about to be in a world of hurt when Universal opens that Nintendo land. They're already kind of hurting because of the Wizarding World of Harry Potter is kicking their ass. The Star Wars Hotel, the Galactic Cruiser, has not been able to fill their rooms, so they've actually discounted those. I'm gonna get into that some, and the movies, the box office has gone down in the movies. But the box office was already slashed because of the pandemic, but now the quality of the movies, the TV shows, and that have gone down so much that people are just turning away. They're just like sick of it. It's not superhero fatigue so much as bad movie fatigue. Like people will try to blame superhero fatigue, but it's like, no. The comics have always been popular, like throughout time, like throughout what 50 years, 60 years. No. Batman and Superman, they're like 80 years old. Yeah, yeah. They've been popular a long freaking time. So you only have these creatives to blame for this. And then Star Wars is at the apathy stage right now. Like people have really given up on that mostly. I stopped watching after Obi-Wan Kenobi. That was dog crap. Book of Boba Fett, I liked parts of it, but it really did not make a lot of sense. And yeah, Kenobi would just did not make a lick of sense, and then it just destroyed his character. I I was kind of holding out hope that this might be good, but yeah, that was the last bit of hope that I think a lot of us had left for this franchise after the terrible sequel trilogy. And oh man, yeah. That's really what killed it. It was the sequel trilogy because they had the opportunity to make these great movies with the old characters. And they did not focus on the old characters, which I think was a huge mistake. They could have handed off the baton or whatever if they wanted to, but you focus on the characters people actually care about first. That should have been your main goal. But instead, Disney decided they wanted to do their own thing, just throw out the old canon, the EU novels, call them legends. So you pissed off a big portion of the fan base right off the bat. Like you already threw out some goodwill. Then you come out with these movies. You make Han Solo a deadbeat dad. You get him to go back to his smuggling and just leave the kids at home and yeah, just regress his character. His character had progressed through the original trilogy, become a better character, like a better man, and then you regressed him for some reason. Split him and Leia up. I think that was a terrible decision too. Uh, in the EU novels, they were always together. Like the only spat I remember them really having was during the courtship of Princess Leia novel when like she was actually being courted by somebody else, and so he had to step up and say, "Okay, I really want to be with you, Leia." Like let's get married. Uh, but yeah, if you want good Star Wars, go back and read the EU novels, the Legend novels. There's actually one called Kenobi that covers, Kenobi's time watching over Luke. There's, he has these misadventures, and yeah. As for Marvel, I do care about some of the characters, like Ant-Man. I actually like, and Spider-Man, even though he's the rights for Spider-Man are still owned by Sony, he could pop up in other Marvel movies, depending on if Sony actually still wants to play ball with Disney anymore. They could just do their own thing. They have Tom Holland at their beck and call. They just did the Uncharted movie for them, and then they could call Andrew Garfield to make some more movies, or even Tobey Maguire if they want to. I'm sure they like money. Come on. uh, But yeah, I did not see the last Ant-Man movie. I was hearing a lot of bad things about it, and then I did not like the way that MODOK looked. So I'm like, I probably wouldn't like this. I have memories of MODOK from the '94 animated Iron Man series, and I actually thought he was a pretty good character in that. Kind of menacing, but still kind of funny. But I heard that they made him just a joke in this, so I'm like, I don't know. The Kang, I'm not at all impressed by Kang. I saw him in Loki, and I just thought, are we supposed to be intimidated by this guy? I don't know. And we see him get defeated like 3 times throughout the series so far. This time by a bunch of ants. I mean, I've heard a bunch of the spoilers. I haven't seen the movie, but I've heard spoilers, so I kind of know a lot of stuff that was going on. Uh, but yeah, here's CEO Bob Iger. Wait, cancel. Let me get into this. Get onto this page and then share screen. I was on a different page. I was looking at the box office. Ant-Man has made like 400 million, but I think the budget was like 250 million, something crazy like that. So it's not even going to make its money back. I don't think, after marketing and whatnot, all the reshoots. I heard there were different endings for this. We're hearing that a lot lately. Like, oh, this movie had a bunch of alternate endings, and the final one that we're seeing, who knows if that was like even in the cards before. Like they might have just come up with it on the fly at the last minute. You never know. I'm sure. But now it seems they're going to be cutting the budgets back some. Bob Iger. Disney will reduce costs on films, TV shows to focus on quality, not volume. So you're saying they haven't been quality. You've just been churning shit out and hoping something would stick. Yep, that's what people have been saying for months. But, Disney's been trying to cover their ass, and they've had other outlets covering for them. It comes in the form of reducing the expense per content, whether it's a TV series or a film, where costs have just skyrocketed, the Disney chief told an investor conference. Disney CEO Bob Iger said Thursday that his company is closely examining all aspects of its content business across film and TV as it plots the best path forward in a tricky media environment that includes a linear TV business in decline, a theatrical film business with an uncertain future, and a streaming business that is growing but requires a path to profitability. Yeah, they still haven't profited off of their streaming service. They lost $2.5 billion last quarter, just in a quarter. Speaking at a Morgan Stanley conference, Iger said that the company will specifically be looking at how much it is spending on content and how many projects it produces going forward. I'm really pleased that the support that I'm getting from the content creators of the company is significant and real, and it comes in the form of reducing the expense per content. Whether it's a TV series or a film, where costs have just skyrocketed in a huge way and not a supportable way, in my opinion. Yeah, everybody's been saying that. Yeah, they all agree to that, he said, adding that it was also about understanding how much volume we need, reducing how much we make. So it's how much we spend on what we make and how much we make. Shit. He's just saying the same shit over and over again. It's like, look at how much Joker made compared to its budget. I think the budget was really, really small. I want to say less than 100 million. Yeah, and it made $1 billion. That's an insane return on investment. However, yeah, with Avatar, like, remember James Cameron was saying this has to make close to $2 billion to even, like, profit to break even. That's how big the budget was. However, Iger left open the potential for making content that the company could sell elsewhere. And as we look to reduce the content that we're creating for our own platforms, there probably are opportunities to license to third parties, Iger said. For a while, that was verboten or something we couldn't possibly do because we were so favoring our own streaming platforms. Yeah, you bet everything on that. That was a bad bet. But if we get to a point where we need less content for those platforms and we still have the capability of producing that content, why not use it to grow revenue? And that's what we would likely do. He added that the core franchise content, Marvel, Star Wars, Frozen, etc., would remain exclusive to Disney's own platforms. Marvel and Star Wars, Disney bought because they were boy brands, and then they tried to cater to girls, put more female representation and whatnot, focus on diversity and inclusion, and forget about the story. That's where they failed. And yeah, we've seen how that's turned out. Disney is very strong, the most powerful brand, certainly in family entertainment. That could change soon. He added when consumers see the live action Little Mermaid in May, it'll remind you just how strong the brand is. But he also had frank and interesting comments about Marvel and Star Wars, suggesting that the company is carefully thinking about its approach to those brands moving forward. What we have to look at Marvel is not necessarily the volume of Marvel storytelling, but how many times we go back to the well on certain characters, Iger said. Sequels typically work well for us, but do you need a third or a fourth, for instance? Or is it time to turn to other characters? There's nothing in any way inherently off in terms of the Marvel brand. I think we just have to look at what characters and stories we are mining. He says that, but they got Toy Story 5 coming out. Like, really? You, talking out of your ass right now. And if you look at the trajectory of Marvel over the next 5 years, you'll see a lot of newness, he added. Now, we're going to turn back to the Avengers franchise, but with a whole set of different Avengers as an example. Yeah, Avengers that nobody has really. I don't think anybody's really attached to Captain Marvel that much, or Miss Marvel, or I don't know. What are the other Avengers? I can't even think of them. That's how I don't know. That's how checked out I am by now. After Endgame, they should have rebooted. I keep saying that, but yeah, the main characters that are popular for a reason. Like they're the you know Iron Man, Captain America, the Hulk, Spider Man. They're the main heroes of Marvel. Besides the X Men are even more popular than the Avengers. As I'm speaking from comic book sales. Star Wars, we made 3 what we called saga films, which is obviously the successors to George Lucas's first 6. Yeah, they should have stopped at 6. Just left it at that. we we had the books and whatnot, that took place after the 6 movies. I think we were good with that. Like they were very enjoyable. The Thrawn trilogy and whatnot. They did very well at the box office, tremendously well, as a matter of fact. Not as well as they could have done, though. The first one did what 2 billion, and then it was downhill from there. Like the second one was over 1 billion, but I think it was like 1.5 billion or something. And then the other one was, was like 1 billion point 1 or 2, 3, something like that. Just saying, it was less, which with each entry, and then Solo bombed. Hashtag Solo lost money. I'm sure they get into that. We've made 2 so-called standalones in Rogue One and Solo. Rogue One did quite well. Solo was a little disappointing to us. That's putting it mildly. They halted all their Star Wars films just because Solo bombed. After they were gonna do all these standalone movies, and then Solo put a stop to that. Like they were gonna keep turning out these quote unquote Star Wars stories, and Solo ended that. It gave us pause just to think maybe the cadence was a little too aggressive. Yeah, 2 movies a year, that was like maybe could have worked if you had the right writers, but you didn't. So we decided to pull back a bit. We still are developing Star Wars films. Also, Kathleen Kennedy kept interfering with the creative process. sh- uh, there were so many directors that had to leave because they had creative differences with Kathleen Kennedy. The 2 guys that did 21 Jump Street, blanking on their names. They also did the Lego Movie. Lord and Miller, yeah. They they left. They had directed Solo. They had directed most of it, and then they were fired. And Ron Howard was hired to finish it. Rogue One, same thing kind of happened with Gareth Edwards. Somebody else finished it for him, and then Patty Jenkins has just had her movie pulled. She was supposed to do Rogue Squadron, which there's a big series of novels called the Rogue Squadrons or the X-Wing series, but Rogue Squadron plays a big part in that series. You should check those out. That's from Legends. Uh, and so this movie probably would have nothing to do with any of those characters in there. Maybe Wedge would show up, but yeah, I'm sure Disney would have just made up their own characters. But yeah, that movie has been scrapped. Patty Jenkins had actually wanted to make it like sort of an homage to her father, who was a pilot. But yeah, that's been scrapped now. They even made like a promotional video for it. But yeah. And there have been a number of other projects announced from different directors, like what's his name? I think Joss Whedon. No. Taika Waititi. He might still be doing one. See, all this is up in the air until we actually see some footage. The Benioff and Weiss, who did Game of Thrones, they were supposed to do one at one point. There was talk of J.J. Abrams coming back to do one. Uh, there were so many movies announced. Damon Lindelof, who did the Watchmen series, which was so popular that it got 1 season and was canceled. Yeah, those guys were supposed to do Star Wars movies at one point or another. At a high level, Iger said that the goal is to focus on high quality programming, calling out not only the core franchises, but also FX, which he praised as both a producer of content and as a brand. There's so much consumer choice right now, and it comes back to what is differentiated. No. The question should be, what is good? Like, how can we make this good? That's one thing, obviously, we have talked about is those brands: Star Wars, Marvel, and Disney, and Pixar, for instance. Yeah, your biggest mistake was firing, uh, frick, John Lasseter from Pixar. Like he was the captain steering that ship, to the horizon, to the wide blue yonder, and digging up gold for you guys with every entry. He's the guy. I believe he directed A Bug's Life. He directed Toy Story. He directed a bunch of their best movies. Yeah, but quality is also a differentiator. Yeah, quality should be your top priority. It shouldn't be an afterthought like in this paragraph. I think HBO proved that well, in their Halcyon days when high quality programming See, look, they're gonna stick this word in like every conversation now because they really want people to go to that Halcyon Galactic Cruiser. That's what this fucking ship is called. When high quality programming made a big difference and not volume. Yeah. And because the streaming platforms require so much volume, one has to question whether that's the right direction to go, or if it can be more curated, more, I used the word judicious a few times, but I guess more picky about what you're making and to concentrate on quality and not volume. That's what you should have been doing from day one, you smug bastard. This is the guy who wrestled the rights to Lucasfilm out of George Lucas's hands. Read his book, The Ride of a Lifetime, if you don't believe me. Like, he kind of manipulated George Lucas into selling the rights. Uh, he's been described by some as a real life Lex Luthor. That's how Anna, that Star Wars girl, described him, and I kind of agree with her. Yeah. But he's made Disney a lot of money, so they brought him back. But he's kind of responsible for a lot of their current woes. Something new just came to my attention yesterday that I wanted to bring up. Let me pull this. Yeah, this the Lucasfilm's being sued because one of the producers on the Acolyte was fired. I don't know why? I guess this article will get into it. So this is news to me. uh, Lucasfilm sued for egregious axing of producer Karen McCarthy from Star Wars series The Acolyte. I still don't know what the hell this series is supposed to be about. I think it's like a Sith-centered series, female-driven, I believe, because it's Kathleen Kennedy's pet project, and one of the top producers is actually, Leslie Headland, who, if you don't know, was Harvey Weinstein's former personal assistant. So there's probably a lot of things that she knew was going on and kept quiet about, and now she's leading a Star Wars show. It's like a lot of stuff uh, doesn't jive. Exclusive. There is a disturbance in the Force. On the same day it became public that Star Wars projects from Kevin Feige and Patty Jenkins are now dormant, Lucasfilm has been hit with a breach of contract lawsuit over the upcoming The Acolyte. Baller's executive producer Karen McCarthy has taken the Kathleen Kennedy run Disney division to court over being pink slipped from the Leslie Headland created series last year after just a few weeks of work. What makes this action all the more bitter and telling of streamer competition for top talent is that UTA rep McCarthy was being actively courted by Apple at the same time to help run their eventual Colin Farrell starring PI series Sugar, according to the March 7th filing by Glazer, Weil, Fink, Howard, Ashvin, and Shapiro LLP. Okay. Deciding to throw her lot in with potential long-term commitment to Lucasfilm The Acolyte in early April 2022, McCarthy found herself in an unemployment Death Star and no cash to show for it at sudden end, it seems. So she was being courted by Apple, who, if you don't know, Disney's been losing a lot of people to Apple lately. Like a lot of their top talent is going to Apple. John Lasseter, for example, is working at Skydance, which I believe is a division of Apple. They're giving Pixar direct competition with their animated movies. They got a couple coming out soon. Uh, so yeah, Lasseter, and then Lasseter even scooped up Alan Menken to do the music for his latest movie. I don't know if Alan Menken is still going to be working for Disney at the same time or not. There seems to be a conflict of interest here, so he might be done with them now. The last thing I remember Alan Menken doing was the live action Beauty and the Beast. I think he did. He might have done Aladdin too, but yeah. Yeah, if he hasn't left, he might be fired just because Disney's like that. They don't want you working for anybody else but them. Or put in bottom line terms. As a result of its bad faith and wrongful termination, defendants deprived Ms. McCarthy significant employment from which she would have earned millions of dollars over the life of the series. After setting up the corporate pursuit by Apple and Lucasfilm and how McCarthy was the choice for the acolyte, the jury seeking complaint details how she got to work quickly on April 7th, 2022, and how a broad strokes agreement full of UK hotel allowances and per diems was sent to her agent David Morris on April 11th. In fact, in that email to Morris from Lucasfilm VP Physical Productions Candace Campos, the exec makes a point of saying how we really want to make this work. Then it all seems to go wrong fast. 2 weeks later, without explanation, without reason, without justification, Lucasfilm told McCarthy it wanted out of the deal, reads the 12-page filing in Los Angeles Superior Court. By this time, the Apple offer was gone. Apple had to move on and found another executive producer for Sugar. McCarthy now had neither deal. As disappointing as that new situation was, it seems that McCarthy took it in the spirit of this being show business and not show friends, and made for the exit, expecting to be compensated. That's where things appeared to get messy even by Tinseltown standards. When McCarthy went to Lucasfilm and requested to be paid, Lucasfilm denied that they even had an agreement. Oh, that's typical Lucasfilm under Kathleen Kennedy. Even though, one, they had made their offer, containing all of the material deal points. 20, McCarthy. Oh, McCarthy accepted that offer. Did she? Okay, that's a typo there. 3, Lucasfilm had McCarthy start right away. And 4, Lucasfilm sent to McCarthy a memorandum of agreement memorializing the terms, including that McCarthy had already commenced working. In further disregard of McCarthy and the work she had already done, Lucasfilm offered to pay McCarthy $5,000 for a single day's work. McCarthy rejected Lucasfilm's anemic and insulting offer, and even though Lucasfilm acknowledged that McCarthy had in fact performed work for it, Lucasfilm never paid McCarthy for that work. McCarthy is therefore forced to bring this action to hold Lucasfilm accountable for its egregious breach of their agreement, its bad faith denial of that agreement, and for the statutory penalties McCarthy is entitled for its failure to pay for her for her work. With that earlier statement of the EP losing out on millions of dollars hanging in the air, McCarthy's attorneys Patty Glazer, Robert Allen, and Matthew W. Bernstein are asking for a wide range of unspecified damages. Reps for Lucasfilm did not respond to a request for comment on the lawsuit. If and when they do, we will update. This is pretty fucking funny. All this before their Star Wars celebration. I think that's in April. I'm not sure. But yeah, they got all kinds of turmoil going on right now. As for the Acolyte itself, there is no Disney Plus debut date yet for the 8-episode series starring Amandla? Is that a word? Is that a name? Stenberg. However, we do know that filming has been going on since October 2022 on the other side of the pond. Seemingly with the tone of the Tony Gilroy created Endor, mystery thriller The Acolyte is set in the murky end of the High Republic, which is the era before the Star Wars flicks kick off. Yeah, the High Republic is something that Kathleen Kennedy put all her chips down on, and it has failed miserably. Like these books are not selling, the comics aren't selling. Nobody's gonna watch the show. I'm sorry. Maybe some normies will watch it out of curiosity, but most Star Wars fans are done at this point. All that aside, with Glazer on one side and Disney lawyers on the other, this legal standoff over McCarthy's money and deal may be where the real lightsabers come in. Yeah, you alienated so much of your fan base that they're not going to give a shit when this comes out. If it comes out at this point. Lordy. Oh, yeah. I did not even, well, I did kind of touch on it. The hotel. If you don't believe me, Disney World struggling $5,000 Star Wars hotel slashes prices, canceled summer dates. The initial buzz that helped fill Disney coffers with galactic credits has turned into concerning quiet in the halls of the Halcyon, the Star Wars starship at the center of an immersive storytelling hotel experience. Yeah, they inserted this hotel, this ship, quote unquote, into a lot of the supplemental materials surrounding like the High Republic and the original trilogy characters. like like they made it the setting for uh Han and Leia's wedding. They retconned the original setting, which I think was I want to say Coruscant. I'm not sure, but yeah. And then other things like they put it in other stories too, because they're trying to garner interest into this ship to get people to go, and it really hasn't worked. Walt Disney World's highly hyped Star Wars hotel that debuted to months of sold out voyages has seen demand cool so dramatically that the Florida theme park giant has been forced to offer steep discounts on the pricey experience and cancel dates in the middle of summer. The Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser Hotel at Disney's Hollywood Studios in Florida has begun offering 30 to 50% discounts to select customers on 3-day, 2-night experiences that cost $5,000 to $20,000. Who the hell wants to pay that much to go to a hotel? Like, what are you, insane? They're just catering to rich people at this point. The Galactic Cruise invites costumed passengers to hatch plots against the First Order, fall in with a band of underworld smugglers, and sip space cocktails for as long as they can suspend disbelief and buy into the interstellar cosplay theater of what's been billed as the most immersive Star Wars experience ever created. You know what? The Galaxy's Edge theme park could have been that if you had actually put in original characters, original trilogy characters and stuff, instead of relying on your sequel trilogy, which failed. Let's admit it at this point. It failed. Walt Disney World officials say that Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser is one of the most ambitious and immersive experiences ever created that continues to receive outstanding feedback from guests. Chills. The Star Wars Hotel that debuted to much fanfare in March 2022 initially opened with 3 months of sold out dates. 3 months, and then that's when it stopped. So everybody who wanted to go went. Yeah, that's like the movies now. Like everybody goes the first weekend, and then there's a huge drop off, like 70% for each movie. Former Disney CEO Bob Chapek said interest in the Galactic Star Cruiser was phenomenal, quote unquote, and customer ratings were, quote unquote, incredibly high a few months after the hotel opened, according to Forbes. At the time, Chapek said strong demand would keep the Star Cruiser at 100% utilization share during the summer, Forbes reported. The initial buzz that helped fill Disney coffers with galactic credits has turned into concerning quiet in the halls of Halcyon. Oh, yeah, that was at the top of it. You can book a stay on the Galactic Star Cruiser with this weekend and in virtually any night through September 2023, now that the once solidly booked calendar is wide open. So here you go, kids. You wanna go to the Star Wars Hotel? You just gotta pay between 5,000 and 20,000, depending on what I guess they probably have different tiers for the experience. So yeah, uh, get your mom's wallet, get your dad's wallet, or whichever one's available. Put in that credit card number. Maybe you'll be able to stay at the Star Wars Hotel. It's an immersive experience. I've seen some of those videos. They're really lame. They have a they have Chewie dressed up for Life Day, which Star Wars fans know has always been a joke. Like, why are they embracing this all of a sudden? Like George Lucas tried to have every copy of this thing destroyed. You can find it on YouTube if you want to check it out. But I'd advise against it. The Galactic Star Cruiser began offering 30% discounts to loyal Disney Vacation Club members in November when hotel capacity dropped to as low as 25% on some dates, according to WDW World News today. The low turnout forced the Star Cruiser to cut the second dinner seatings on some evenings, they reported. The low demand has brought concerns for the future of the experience. As Master Yoda says, difficult to see. Always in motion, the future is. In January, Disney canceled dates for Star Cruiser stays in July, August, and September. Those should be like their highest freaking time, like, toward the that's like peak summer, isn't it? I don't know. It's like before school starts, so people are trying to loosen up and offered to rebook impacted guests on other voyages at 50% discounts, according to WDW Magic. At the same time, Disney World rolled out discounts as steep as $700 on hotel stays at the Florida theme park resort before or after Star Cruiser voyage. In February, Disney began offering 50% discounts to current and retired cast members for stays on the Galactic Star Cruiser on select dates from March through June, according to All Ears. Yeah, so they're trying to get they're trying to get as many people as possible to this hotel, and people are just not buying it. Like even the cast members are saying, "Fuck this, no thanks." Like this looks lame. This looks terrible. Like why did you choose to? It's Kathleen Kennedy. It's all her. She chose to lean in to the sequel trilogy characters and just rejects the old characters like George Lucas's creation. They want to replace the old characters with the new characters, but the fans are just not having it. Like the only new character that's really been embraced is the Mandalorian, and there's still not much to his character. It's just because he looks cool. He looks sort of like Boba Fett, who we remember and love, and then they even ruined Boba Fett. But that might be by design actually, because yeah, like I said, they want to replace him with this new guy, and then Yoda even being replaced with Baby Yoda, quote unquote, Grogu. You got him. Then, of course, they want to replace Luke with Ahsoka. Like, that's all been by design. This is my conspiracy theory, but there's a lot of evidence to support it. Marvel. Let's talk about Marvel from our friends at Pirates and Princesses. If you don't know, these are the guys, Clownfish TV. They run this Geeky Sparkles is her moniker. I don't know her real name, but yeah, that's what she goes by. Anyway. Marvel is on the decline in Phase 4 of the MCU, according to media outlets.
Guess that concludes negotiation.
Yeah, a lot of people just said, okay, after Endgame, like I don't have to watch this anymore, do I? Like, we've gotten a full immersion. We've gotten this great uh theatrical experience over 10 years. I think it's kind of run its course. That's about it. But Marvel instead said, "Oh, let's keep going, man. We got this momentum." But no, the momentum had been burnt out by the end of Endgame. I feel like it's like it's like the end of The Dark Knight Rises. A lot of people don't like that movie, but I really liked it, and I feel like his story was pretty well ended. Is because he talked about Batman being a mantle, like you just pass it down to somebody else, but you don't necessarily need to see that next person's story. uh, it's enough to know that there will always be a Batman. You know, I mean, we've already seen future stories. Batman Beyond, for instance, Terry McGinnis, the Batman teaches him everything he knows, passes on the mantle, and it's very well done. But in the case of MCU, I don't know if a lot of the replacement characters are as well loved as Terry McGinnis is in the DC world. Like, is Shuri as beloved as T'Challa? Is what's her name? Kate Bishop as well loved as uh Hawkeye? I don't know. Is She-Hulk as beloved as Hulk? Sure, She-Hulk has a lot of fans, but like I don't think she's as iconic as the Hulk, really. Spider-Man, is Miles Morales as beloved as Peter Parker? Gwen Gwen Stacy or Spider Gwen, is she as beloved as Peter Parker? I don't think so. So you try to replace these characters with their I don't want to say tokenized characters. I know Eric July likes to use that phrase a lot, but uh, and I agree, but I still like to say they're what do you s- what do you call it? There's another word for it. Derivative. Yeah, derivative characters. Yeah, even Batgirl is a derivative character, but people love her just because she. They didn't try to replace Batman with her. She just became part of the team. Like it was Batman, Robin, and Batgirl a lot of the time, and then eventually she had this whole story arc where Joker shoots her, paralyzes her, and then she becomes this wheelchair bound hero called Oracle, who runs runs things from behind the scenes. She's on a computer most of the time in Batman's ear, directing him where he's got to go, giving him information, and so she became this really cool character. I mean, she already was, but they added more to her, and so. But I don't know if they've really done the work on these other characters, like Kate Bishop. What is there really to her other than she's this archer who, for some reason, is just as good as Hawkeye. Like, did we get a big storyline with her, like uh, struggling, learning? Uh, I watched the scene. I didn't watch the whole show, but I watched the scene with her against Kingpin, who we have seen Daredevil go up against and really have a hard time about it. And then the first time we see this girl, she just immediately beats them. It's like, what? This is not driving. uh, and then Riri Williams. Uh, I've read about her origins. Like it's like she builds this armor. It's not like it's not like I really don't know that much about her. I did not even watch Wakanda Forever. Like I was uh I was just out on that movie uh after he died. I was kind of hoping they would recast even though, he died. But I don't I think they put this movie out too soon. They should have waited more after he died to put it out cuz yeah, I don't know. It's just a tough situation they found themselves in. So Riri Williams, she's 15-year-old engineering student and the daughter of late Riri Williams Sr. Following his death, she lives with her mother and her paternal aunt in Chicago. A certified super genius, she attends the Massachusetts Institute of Technology on scholarship. Working alone, Riri designs a suit of armor similar to the Iron Man armor using materials stolen from campus. Okay, so first of all, okay, wait. Here's your first mistake, Marvel. You make the black character a thief. Oh man. And then when campus security knocks at her door, she flees while wearing the suit. Okay, so yeah, first thing she does is steal some armor. Uh, when she prevents two inmates from escaping the New Mexico State Penitentiary, her suit is damaged. Upon returning to her mother's house, Riri continues to work on improving the suit, much to the dismay of her aunt. Tony Stark hears of Riri's accomplishment and goes to meet her. During their meeting, Stark decides that he will endorse her decision to become a superhero. Okay, so we really didn't get much of her backstory there, other than she's a thief. Uh, come on, man. I don't know what they did with her character in Wakanda Forever. Like I don't know what role she played. Uh, other than I think she just helped the Wakandans to fight Namor. I think that was the bulk of her contribution. But these other characters, okay, Captain Marvel. Uh, I remember in the X Men animated series, Carol Danvers was the character that Rogue actually got her powers from. Like Rogue could fly, and she got them because she absorbed them from Carol Danvers. And so Carol Danvers was actually in like a coma for a while, and then and lost her memory, I believe. So yeah. So Rogue was getting these psychic visions, like of Carol Danvers in her head, saying, "You stole my power. You stole it from me." I remember that being a big plot line. So that was my exposure to Carol Danvers. So then when Captain Marvel came out, I'm like, wait, she doesn't look like she doesn't look like the Carol Danvers I remember. So that was my first uh, hesitation. Um, and then we got the stupid origin of Nick Fury's eye patch, which I thought would be way more badass. Like, they teased it in Winter Soldier. The last time I trusted someone, I lost an eye. And then they made a joke out of it in Captain Marvel. I thought that was really stupid. Uh, so yeah, there were some stumbles along the way to Endgame. Captain Marvel, I think, was a big one. And it made a ton of money because it was crammed in between Infinity War and Endgame. People were thinking, "Oh, I gotta watch this, just to know what's gonna happen in Endgame." Which basically the only thing you would have known is Carol Danvers is a character that's gonna be in Endgame. That's better. And yeah, and then Black Widow, we got okay. Just like they did with Solo, we got a prequel to a character who just died. Like you should have done this years ago, probably. In the case of Solo, though, I don't think you needed a prequel at all. But with Black Widow, like people had already been asking for a movie about her and Hawkeye and their experience in Budapest that was teased in Avengers. Like it's just like Budapest, they kept referencing that, and so people were wondering like what that was about. Uh, yeah, the best days of the MCU may be long behind us, according to several media outlets. While it was once considered controversial to disparage the Marvel Cinematic Universe in any way, many pop culture journalists are taking Phase 4 to tasks. Oh yeah, yeah, especially as compared to 1, 2, and 3. Phase 4 is utter crap. Let's be real. Especially She-Hulk. I have not seen Thor 4, but I've heard it's terrible. Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness was really bad. I watched that to my detriment. The common complaints seem to be that MCU Phase 4 doesn't feature the iconic heavy hitting characters of Phases 1 through 3. There is no singular big bad. The multiverse is confusing for casual viewers, and most importantly, the entire phase seemingly has no direction. Yeah, normies, a lot of normies do not like the idea of the multiverse because it gets confusing. That's My mom is really turned off by multiverse. Like she believes that one character should be played by one actor at one time. Like she was sad when I told her Christian Bale's not going to play Batman anymore because she really loved him as Batman. Like that's her favorite Batman. Uh, but yeah, I just told her like they reboot this stuff all the time. Like the actors just decide they want to do something else, or the stories just run out, or the directors move on to. There's a ton of factors. In the case of DC, they're just constantly retooling. In the last 10 years, this is like the third time they've retooled. Ouch! But it's true. Most of the original six Avengers have been sidelined, killed off, or replaced. No one holds a candle to Thanos as the overarching threat to the MCU. Yeah, they need to bring Doctor Doom in at this point because I think he's even cooler than Thanos. Like I've always liked Doctor Doom. And Phase 4 does seem like a lot of filler and one-off movies without a clear endgame insight. Good one. Here's a bit of what media outlets have been saying about Marvel Phase 4, particularly after Thor: Love and Thunder. Screen Rant says it's now okay to say the MCU is bad, and the franchise can no longer be blindly defended. Oh, they're still going to blindly defend it. Believe you me, there are Marvel stands on every side. The less than positive reception of some of the more recent MCU movies has ironically made people more defensive of them. But if anything, said reception shows that it should be okay to say that MCU movies are bad. With how popular the Marvel Cinematic Universe is, it makes sense that there would be people defending it at every turn, but that sort of blind faith and refusal to listen to other points of view just makes its shortcomings even look even worse. Yeah, there was even a guy at work who I'm pretty sure he doesn't read the comics. He was just way into the movies. Even he's saying like I can't even like he's like I can't even watch this anymore. Like they're making me. He literally said this. He's like Marvel's pissed me off. I was like, whoa, damn. Yeah, I guess he watched Ant-Man 3 and really did not like it. The Daily Beast says that Phase 4 of Marvel has been a total train wreck, albeit still financially viable for now. Since reaping billions with Endgame, Marvel has delivered exactly one memorable superhero spectacular: Spider-Man: No Way Home. And that was a co-production with Sony that hinged on nostalgia for pre-MCU movies. Yeah, and Disney saw just a portion of that money. The rest have all been different shades of mid. Black Widow was undone by pointless blandness more than by the pandemic. Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings was a formulaic shrug. Eternals was a dreary dud that barely felt like it existed in the same world as its franchise mates. Yeah, they should have made Eternals more like the Jack Kirby comics, which are bright and vibrant. You know, like the Thor Ragnarok movie. That was Jack Kirby-esque. They should have done Eternals like that. But instead, yeah, they went a totally different direction. And Doctor Strange 2 was a Frankensteinian monster whose few flourishes were drowned out by cacophonous faux horror and fan servicey cameos. Yeah. Yeah, they brought Professor X back only to kill him again for the third time. and and then they had John Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic, the fan casting as Mr. Fantastic, and they made spaghetti out of him. Killed him off. Stupid. Oh, they also made him dumb. Yeah, he told Wanda Maximoff how to kill Black Bolt. Thor: Love and Thunder is a similar washout, an insistently jokey beast that can't get out of its own smug way. Yeah, that's just Taika Waititi's playbook, though. The only good thing he's done, in my opinion, is Jojo Rabbit. Yeah, that's just my opinion. The Wrap compares the decline of the MCU to waning interest in Star Wars and Harry Potter. I don't think there's been any waning interest in Harry Potter. I think there's waning interest in the freaking Fantastic Beast movies, yes, but the Wizarding World is still packed all the time. And have you seen the sales for Hogwarts Legacy? Like, it's not even on all the consoles, and it's already sold. Like, I forget how many millions of copies. Yeah, this thing is a juggernaut still, and the books still sell. They're they're still on top seller lists. Yeah, Harry Potter is doing just fine, but Star Wars for sure has seen diminishing returns when audiences don't feel like the recent offerings are as good as they used to be, and they are not. Social media grumblings around Phase 4 of the MCU haven't made that big a dent in the film's box office fortunes yet, but the numbers might creep down in the coming years if Marvel's future releases don't receive the wild excitement that No Way Home got. Yeah, good luck with that. Guardians 3 may move the needle, but I don't see the Marvels doing anywhere near No Way Home. Are you kidding me? There's even internal strife behind that movie. If you, I'm seeing that on online right now between Brie Larson and one of her co-stars. Uh, I'm sure Brie Larson feels embittered because she was the center of the first movie, and now she's been demoted. Like she's sharing the screen with two other women, so it's not her movie anymore. Now it's the three of them together. So yeah, she's got to feel some kind of way about that. Clearly, Disney will need to scramble to keep up the momentum of the MCU going forward. If not, we could be looking at another Star Wars scenario, a once invincible box office juggernaut, relegated to television after a few high-profile misfires. If Star Wars has become direct-to-video, unfortunately, this used to be the biggest movie franchise of all time. A movie would come out and it'd just be the biggest event of anyone's lifetime. Like people lined up, and the lines went forever outside the movie theater. Now, it goes straight to streaming, and you hardly ever hear about it. Like I might see one or two review videos pop up in my feed, but that's it. Like, nobody's talking about this anymore. On Facebook, you might get 100 likes on something, and like 5 comments. But yeah, Disney has destroyed every freaking franchise they've touched. Pixar, Marvel, and Lucasfilm. We have another Indiana Jones movie coming out this year. We'll see how that does. I've heard that's been reshot to hell with alternate endings. So yeah, it's not looking great for Disney. They need to shape up, or they'll be shipping out sometime. Maybe not soon, but yeah, not everything lasts forever. Oh, well. I had yeah, I had another one to go. That was
You are a
kinda-
sad, strange little man, and you have my pity. Farewell.
one of the greatest movies they've ever made. Oh, let me show you another one. This is from one of my favorite movies.
Archimedes, have you seen that flying machine model? I have nothing to do with your futuristic fiddle-faddle, you know that.
What's that thing up there?
Hmm? Oh, yes, of course. Here we are.
You mean man will find one of those someday?
If man were meant to fly, he'd have been born with wings. I am about to prove otherwise, Archimedes, if you care to watch. Here she goes. No. Man will fly, all right. Just like a rock. It would have worked if it weren't for this infernal beard.